So, back to finish the Shy Guy video. I know it's taken a minute, but to get everything caught up, right? We edited the Shy Guy video. It sat for like almost a week after I shot it, before I was actually able to make it public. And then Skitten started shooting SCP stuff, and I needed to then push up the editing on that. So it's been just a journey. But we have more things coming out. But I'm making sure I finish this vid. I finished the Shy Guy video with Skitten, but it was a little bit less in depth, so I definitely feel like I need to come back and do this. I feel like that's not a good replacement for SCP Illustrated, just for how well that he does. And the different ways that this guy draws the interactions is nice to see that, because, I've looked up a lot of fan art now for the past week and a half myself on these SCPs, and so seeing his rendition of it is actually very refreshing. So let's get into it. Hopefully they get into some of the incidents that we heard of before. So let's do it. Play. That's what I'm looking for, is to get into.
So containment has been attained?
Yes, Doctor.
Let me see the security footage. Begin log. A large steel cube is shown in the middle of a research lab, which is teeming with a dozen or so researchers. In view of the camera is a control booth, displaying readings from various sensors inside the cube.
Oh yeah, so also there is no green screen. I'm just going to try my best to cut my face out as much as possible, but the green screen doesn't sit on the stand anymore since this thing is like 3 years old. So that's dead. But okay.
Fast forward 1 minute 32 seconds. The control booth operator leans forward, alerted to the various readings on the sensors. Approximately 5 seconds later, a steel wall on the containment cube receives a sizable dent, bending outward. The dent becomes larger before breaking. SCP-096 is seen bending the steel away, frantically trying to escape. Emergency plates dropped on the cube as the containment breach is sounded. The security tape has SCP-096's face blurred out, as per containment protocol. 2 security teams enter the room as SCP-096 breaks out of containment. Live rounds and tranquilizer darts are fired to no visible effect.
It's not going to work.
90% of researchers and security personnel have directly viewed SCP-096's face.
And they're all going to die.
The room and surrounding areas are sealed and flushed with class nerve agent. Approximately 2 minutes later, SCP-096 breaches research site and travels kilometers an hour through the outside desert, traveling. End log. Echo Romeo Actual was assigned to immediate containment breach. When we realised just how big a breach we were dealing with, we were completely overwhelmed. Funny how even the best and brightest minds in the world can be so unprepared.
So you are saying it is your own fault?
Absolutely not. This was a new discovery in SCP-096's behaviour. We had no way to know, and we are lucky it did not turn into an XK. Begin log. Helmcam footage from ERA-5. Footage from inside a UH-60 shows SCP-096 on the desert floor, moving at considerable speed.
This is Echo Romeo Actual. We have visual of the target at knots and increasing.
ERA-1 listens to the radio as orders, identified as coming from Dr. Dan, are relayed. SCP-096 can be seen slowly gaining speed. ERA-1 motions off camera.
Take those shots, bro.
ERA-3 appears.
Yo, that is
holding
sick,
a modified
actually.
XM500 anti-material rifle. 2 shots are fired.
Yeah.
The first misses
Let
and the
him
second
loose,
hits
baby.
SCP-096 in the lower leg. SCP-096 stumbles but recovers. Speed change is insignificant.
Repeat, no effect on target.
ERA-1 mentions to ERA-3 again. ERA-3 fires 3 more shots. The first 2 miss and the third hits SCP-096 in the head.
In the dome,
SCP-096
son.
falls, skids and rolls several times, reducing its speed minimally. SCP-096 rolls to its feet and continues unabated. Camera pans up to see 8 V-22 Ospreys belonging to MTF TAU-1 flying overhead and past the helicopters on the same outbound vector as SCP-096. Camera cuts out. End log.
Okay, so that is the first or the second log in that incident. Okay, so this is before he even makes it to the town. So we're assuming they're going to cover everything else. But just real quick, there were some things omitted in this one that the other one kind of touched on, even though it was very shorter. They touched on how fast he was running. They touched on like where the location was at. They made some references to where they thought the location was. So I wonder if those things are canon or if that is just, again, liberties that are being taken with this SCP, right? That's what I'm interested to see.
Video
so let's see the next log.
096-1A. Dr. Oleksei appears very calm, determined, and answers all questions slowly and deliberately.
Where were you exactly at the time of the breach?
On break, getting a cup of coffee. It was pure luck I wasn't caught in the containment area.
Describe your actions directly after the containment breach.
I sent Echo Romeo Actual after SCP-096 and alerted Dr. Dan to the situation. We then set upon the task of locating SCP-096-1. Once the general direction of SCP-096 was determined, I sent Mobile Task Force TAU-1 ahead to evacuate civilian population centres in SCP-096's path, all according to containment protocol.
Begin log.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm allergic to all the stress.
096-1-B. Dr. Dan sits patiently. On the table in front of him is what looks like to be a set of modified night vision goggles.
For the record, where were you exactly during SCP-096's containment breach?
In the mountain.
Okay.
Trying to
Okay,
find
so
more
there is.
information on
Okay.
SCP-096's origins.
Oh, no.
It
This
was
is a different
quick
mountain
research
range. This is a different mountain
expedition,
range.
So I left Dr. Oleksei in charge of containment. He is competent enough, if a bit eager, and has proved himself in the past. This is all confirmed by the various related paperwork, so don't go thinking...
Oh, that was all just for the record, Doctor. Now, knowing that SCP-096 is immune to all forms of damage while in an enraged state, why would you order the sniper attacks from the emergency response team?
Why not? If there was a chance to slow down SCP-096 and give MTF-TAU-1 more time, then we had to try.
No. I thought that was literally the whole thing, is that you only do what containment protocol suggests, and they're not going to suggest something that's pointless, right? Or am I wrong?
Danger, and the choppers were in danger of being outrun anyway. Honestly, ERA could do little else to help or harm the situation.
I see. Now, could you explain this?
Interview emotions to the goggles lying on the table. Yes, this is Project Scramble, an eyepiece we assigned
Project
to
Scramble
ERA and MTF-TAU-1, designed by Dr. Oleksei and myself specifically for SCP-096. It carries a small microprocessor which constantly analyzes the viewing field for the facial features of SCP-096. Facial recognition software inside instantly identifies them, scrambling the image into an unrecognizable mess before the light reaches the human eye. It's quite ingenious, really.
And expensive.
Very. Which is why it's a shame it didn't work.
And the optimal word here is when he said instantly. Okay? Instantly. Says instantly does. Let's see what they cover in the logs.
Begin log.
How do you instantly
Audio
do
transcript
that?
between MTF-TAU-1 and modified EG3 Sentry AWACS, call sign Big Brother.
So in Skitten's video, if it's not out yet, right? Skitten was saying the same thing too. There is a speed at which light travels, right? But the way the eyepiece is working is it's letting you see things in real time. There is no delay. So there is no way for it to actually be instant. There will still be a moment where the light will reach your eyes and then it will blur the image afterwards, okay? There's actually a split light second, light speed worth of time that you would actually visually see the SCP. And so I was wondering, since processors move so fast anyways, why not have a very slight lag that humans wouldn't be able to detect present there, so it could have a chance to actually blur the image before you would see it. That would be a way to do that. I thought me and Skitten came up with a really good solution there, which leads me to believe that the doctor actually didn't want this to succeed in the first place, because that is something that should very easily be understood, you know, with that type of protection or containment procedure. So, anyways, that's for you guys to decide.
Osprey's in the air, moving. And awaiting vector.
Electronics online. Cruising altitude reached. Uploading program Scramble to all camera systems. Cameras online. Big Brother is now watching.
What outbound vector is the target currently heading?
Target is currently westbound, traveling on... shit. Yeah, he's on the I-40. I think he just flipped the semi. Outbound vector is... degrees by... Next town this vector is... I'd say a couple 100 kilometers. Shit, MTF. We're suggesting Echo Romeo begin evacuating the I-40. I don't know how many cars the target has wrecked.
Yeah, a little bit later on that, don't you think?
That's a negative, Big Brother. ERA is reporting that the target is outrunning their choppers. They can't get ahead of them.
Then get them to stop the motorists on the other lane. I don't know how many people I've seen this take space.
End log.
Whew. Man, it's getting bad.
The first 3 elements of TAU-1 succeeded in gathering the townsfolk in the first 3 towns of our incident. SCP-096-1 was confirmed to not be in any of these when SCP-096 ran through each in turn without stopping. However, a video log in MTF TAU shows SCP-096-1 being identified in the town of and the ensuing incident. Show it. Begin log. Helmcam footage from Element 4 of MTF TAU-1 in the town of... Most of the townspeople are gathered in the square, all blindfolded. Helicopters sweep the town. Indistinct orders are heard over loudspeakers from both the helicopters and ground personnel.
The target is entering proximity zone. All units activate scramble gear and begin crowd control procedures. All civilians are not to move from their spot or remove their blindfolds. If you move or touch your blindfold, you will be shot. I repeat, all civilians...
Orders are drowned out by a large shot coming from outside the camera's view.
That was good.
Approximately 2 kilometers away, SCP-096 is seen to be coming over the crest of the hills. It tries to slow down on the descent, but trips and tumbles down at high speed, crashing through several houses before regaining its footing almost without delay.
Once again, civilians are not to move. You will be shot. I repeat.
Several shots are heard, none of which are directed at SCP-096. SCP-096 stops for 1 second before running into the crowd of townsfolk, throwing many aside and trampling more. More shots are heard as the crowd begins dispersing, the loudspeakers unintelligible under the vocalizations of SCP-096. SCP-096 locates SCP-096-1, a middle-aged man, and the camera views SCP-096 grabbing him before it is hit by a fleeing townsperson and is dislocated from the helmet. End log. Begin log. Video interview log 096-1-C.
I was looking through 96's house with my squad. Poor bastard was a semi-pro mountaineer. Took a trip to the... Apparently, he took a snapshot of the landscape and just happened to catch 96 in the background.
Wilford holds up 4 fingers for emphasis.
4 pixels. 4 fucking pixels. I doubt the guy even knew what he saw. He was probably just looking at the picture one day, noticed an off-color patch of snow and went on with his day.
How did you find it?
Yeah, that's what I was so interested. How did you find
Scramble
this?
gear picked it up right away. Lieutenant got the picture and took it down to the chopper before I ever got to see it. By then, the damn monster had taken down Big Brother.
Oh, the scramble gear.
Major Striker. All hell was breaking loose.
So the scramble gear was ineffective.
Ineffective? The goddamn scrambles were pieces of shit that killed the whole damn task force. You know only 3 people are alive besides me? All because some retard egghead thought of a state-of-the-art countermeasure to 96's hostile reaction. Those bloody idiots could have just put a bag over the target's head and be done with it. But no, we had to use state-of-the-fucking-art Scramble.
End log.
So he's upset. This is doing such a good job of drawing me in again, man. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. It's stressful, though. This one is very stressful.
Dr. Dan pushes back from the table and begins standing up. I'll show that goddamn son of a bitch what an egghead is after I bash open his... Interviewee begins shouting and cursing. 2 guards enter the room and push Dr. Dan back into his seat.
Do we need to administer a sedative, Doctor?
Dr. Dan takes a breath and smooths his coat.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they will.
I apologize. Scramble was really an ingenious idea. However, it was a failure because we did not fully know how SCP-096 worked. You see, as the chip inside Scramble picked up SCP-096's facial features and began scrambling them, there was a split second of uninterrupted light flow to the retina. Computers are fast, but not as fast as light. So there was a split-second image of SCP-096's direct face sent to the brain. It wasn't even consciously received, but apparently it was enough to trigger the hostile reaction in SCP-096.
And so with this report of the photograph...
That's the most disturbing part of this whole incident. You know, when the former SCP-096-1 went on his mountain trip? 1990... That's years of that photo hanging there before he saw SCP-096. Since the brain doesn't need to be aware that it is viewing SCP-096's face to trigger a reaction, there can be ticking time bombs hidden literally anywhere in the world. How many photographs are out there containing SCP-096 just going unnoticed, waiting for the careful eye? As I said before, I want this thing terminated now.
Right, and if it goes on a rampage, heading from one side to another, you know, to another part of the world or whatever, more people are obviously going to see this thing. It's just going to keep going on and on and on. And that's just crazy. The design of this SCP is so good.
Just a quick
so
question,
good.
Doctor. What exactly were you planning on doing there? Major Jack Wilford was top-notch SBS when we recruited him.
I was also a recon medic and was deployed in Calcussus. Marines beat Special Boat Service.
No, they don't.
Enough, both of you. Moving on. Begin log. Video interview log 096-1-D.
I got the bag over its head.
Yes, you've told me that. Could you tell me exactly what transpired?
It was done with all its... It was sitting there in the highway. Just got done ripping open a minivan.
Interviewee is silent.
And?
Wes landed the chopper. I got out and bagged it. I put the bag over its head. It got calm, and they took it.
And so the victims in the minivan were the last to have viewed SCP-096's face.
Interviewee is silent. Interviewee remained silent for the remainder of the interview and was released. He was later found in his bunk room having committed suicide via hanging with a makeshift rope. A half-crushed pacifier was found in his fist. End log. Begin log. Video log 096-1-D. Confiscated tape from news broadcast CNN. The image shows first responders surrounding the remains of a crashed plane over the shoulder of a field reporter. The plane, which seems to be military in origin, has no outward designating it
the ambiance is so good.
Military. While first responders look for a black box recording, it is thought by police that the plane crashed due to a massive cabin breach in both the cockpit and fuselage. The reporter motions to a large hole in the side of the plane, which several firefighters are climbing inside. Paramedics have only found 3 bodies, which is odd for a plane apparently requiring a crew of around 20 men. Police have suggested
Odd is right.
The reporter is cut off as 3 super stallions are shown hovering overhead, 2 of which land and begin unloading troops belonging to MTF Epsilon. Shots of the camera, shots of the motherfucker! End log.
Damn.
Begin log.
So are we finished here?
One last question, Doctor. Or statement, as it seems. We find it interesting that there was no break room at research site. Or coffee.
Interviewer remains silent.
We think it would be best if you begin talking.
Remainder of video interview log 096-1-A redacted.
You only need a rest. Oh,
Security
like
clearance gateway. The remaining audio recording has been redacted by O5 command. Only personnel with level 5 or high clearance may access this file. Administrator clearance accepted. Video interview log 096-1-A continued.
I'm waiting, Doctor.
I was not in the break room.
Yes, we know that. Where were you?
Interviewer remains silent.
Very well.
Interviewer closes his folder and gets up from the chair.
Good day, Doctor.
Interviewer leaves. 4 minutes later. Door opens and O5-1 enters accompanied by 2 guards. Dr. Oleksei stands. Sit. Dr. Oleksei resumes his seat. You know who I am.
It's about to be bad, bro.
Gather from that just how serious this is.
Yes.
Where were you, Doctor? Interviewee remains silent. Dr. Oleksei, may I assure you that it is in your very best interests that you start talking. I am not exaggerating when I tell you that your life could very well depend on what you say or don't say next. Dr. Oleksei fidgets in his chair and sighs before continuing.
Very well. Myself and Dr. Dan have long...
Cameron died. I hate this guy. I hate this doctor so much. This guy.
Presented.
Oh my god.
Dr. Dan made multiple attempts to make the O5 and you and the seniors understand that SCP-096 had to be terminated as soon as possible. He heard nothing back. No termination order, not even a suggestion there would be a discussion about it. We devised a scenario to finally make you and the other O5s understand that SCP-096 has to die. We knew it would have to be something quite big for you to take notice, however, it was all for the greater good. It had to die.
Keep going.
That photograph wasn't that many years old at all. SCP-096 was transported to the mountain range. Dr. Dan had contacted an old friend who was exploring in the area and was going to use him as part of the scenario without the civilian knowing. Dr. Dan and his friend climbed the mountains and met up with myself and a D-class we took with us to take the photograph.
The same friend that caused SCP-096 to breach containment?
Yes.
There was no problem till you did this.
Keeping it short, SCP-096 was being held very far back in the background with a couple of agents, while the D-class took the photo. Dr. Dan and the friend then continued on their way, and I instructed the D-class to look at a very specific point on the photograph, which he did. The agents informed me SCP-096 had entered an enraged state. I didn't see it, but the screams and sounds were enough to confirm that the experiment had been a success. The agents bagged SCP-096 and we transported him and us all back to site. I later met up with Dr. Dan.
Okay, let's skip ahead to the breach, please, and return to the initial question. Where were you?
Dr. Dan met up with the same friend from the mounting experiment in his home. He had him view the photo. The friend looked at the location of SCP-096, which triggered SCP-096 to enter an enraged state and break containment.
Why don't you tell us where you were, son? Tell us where you were!
Prior to this, Dr. Dan had called me to inform me that the breach was about to commence. I left SCP-096's containment area knowing that the area would be flooded with nerve gas the moment it broke containment. I informed Dr. Dan that SCP-096 had broken containment and was headed for SCP-096-1, at which point he left. He coordinated most of MTF-TAU-1 from his car via his phone. Look, I know this looks bad, but this had to be...
O5-1 holds up his hand to silence Dr. Oleksei. So, what I can gather from this is that you and Dr. Dan caused this breach and the subsequent deaths of more than 300 staff and civilians because you wanted to prove a point.
Yes.
I suppose yes.
What do you mean, yes?
It wasn't
meant to go that way?
We thought that the Scramble gear...
That piece of shit fucked over the entire task force. 96% of the entire task force killed. So you came up with all of it. The staged photograph, the containment breach, the use of a civilian in an unauthorized experiment. All of it. Do you have any idea what you could have done? You could have caused a fucking XK if a single news camera or a cell phone had captured its face and gone public.
We couldn't know.
You didn't know shit, and you caused the deaths of hundreds of personnel and civilians.
Rip into this man more, please. I'll let you finish.
People you worked with, people you trusted for your safety, and some you may have even called friends once when they were alive. Did you hear the Master Sergeant's testimony? He witnessed that fucking creature ripping an 8-month-old child apart. Think of that.
Come on, man.
Were children just collateral damage in this plan of yours, you sick fuck?
We had to show you. You didn't listen to us. That thing has to die.
You and Dan are evil.
Word.
You represent everything that the Foundation cannot be. We secure the anomalies, we contain them, and we protect humanity so they don't have to suffer from them. We don't release them onto the world with our own selfish motives.
I stand by my actions.
You are. I told y'all I didn't like this guy. I knew it. This guy is a... stupid. That is just stupid.
This was twisted and evil and cunning. You do not have leave to authorize your own experiments that put innocent civilians' lives at risk.
Well, finally, you can now see why it has to die.
I hear no remorse in your voice, Doctor.
So what now?
Wow,
Dr. Oleksei, I hereby
bro.
find you guilty of treachery to the Foundation, the intentional release of a Euclid-class SCP resulting in mass loss of life, the intentional release of sensitive information, also resulting in mass loss of life, the inclusion of a civilian in an unauthorized experiment also leading to loss of life including the civilian, and severe gross negligence of your duties and responsibilities. You are hereby sentenced to execution.
What?
What do you mean, what? What do you mean, what? You had a dude call a guy up and have him killed. That right there doesn't lead you... Hello?
Moment forward, you are now under arrest. You will be incarcerated until the earliest possible time your execution can be scheduled for.
No, this was the right thing to do. You can't do this.
It wasn't.
Also, as a result of your actions, your work contract and insurance plans are hereby revoked, including any compensation to your family in the result of your death. Your family will be informed you died with honour in the execution of your duty, when in reality, you died as a traitor to the people you are bound to protect.
Fuck you!
In a rage, Dr. Oleksei jumps from his chair and moves to attack 05-1. The guards immediately open fire on Dr. Oleksei, resulting in the doctor's death.
Yo, so beforehand, before we got the rest of the details, right, it seemed like it might have been a good idea to stage the release, but I didn't know, obviously, to the extent that they staged it. I thought what the part where the release was sabotaging the equipment to show why the equipment couldn't work. But he really thought the equipment was gonna work, and they staged every other part of the release of 096. I hate that guy. I hate that guy.
I don't see what this has to do with me. There's no reason to play dumb, Doctor. He told us everything. Well, then I guess there's no use feigning anything, is there? Audio recording 05 hearing. Upon reviewing your testimony and available footage, and the confession of the late Dr. Oleksei, it is the unanimous agreement of the 05 that you are to be terminated for your part in the gross breach of SCP-096. And I thought you would know the meaning of for the greater good. Do not try my patience, Doctor. Given the incident's scope and potential, the 05 have approved your request for the termination of SCP-096. Given the lack of personnel with understanding of SCP-096, the termination will be entrusted to you, under heavy guard and the personal supervision of me. Your own termination will be scheduled at a later date. End log.
They got what they wanted.
That is horrible, Doctor. How could you knowingly...
It worked. There was only a matter of time until that happened in a major population center, and its face spread over the world news. I can kill 096, but I've killed myself in the process.
Dude,
and there we have
I think it's good that they got 096 killed, which it hasn't happened yet, which is something that was made very clear from the previous video, that like 096 is not dead yet, like in canon, but it is to be scheduled, and they're confident that they can do it. So it's like, yeah, that's good, because the potential for that SCP is like insane, because of the person can be unaware that they're in danger, you know what I mean? So I guess that's cool. But at the same time, there seems like there could have been so many other ways to do that where it didn't have to be let loose over, you know, we already know how far it can travel. Why does that have to be part of it? Why couldn't they just provide this experiment in the office and still explain like why that changes things? Why did so many people have to be put in danger? But maybe it was the loss of all those people that let them know why. But I think conducting an experiment that proves that you don't have to be aware of SCP-096's face to be put in danger by it would have been enough, I think. And then to explain, look, you know, we had a guy examine pixels that, you know, don't look like anything, and he was still killed, which could potentially mean that there are other photos we haven't noticed have its face in it, because it could look like a speck of dust. That's the same as viewing his face. Like, that seems like that would be enough of logic to get them to make the right decision. Crazy. I hate that. I get such a weird feeling after 096. I'm moving on. I'll see y'all. There's Shy Guy. Shouts out to Illustrated, the most amazing storytelling I've seen. It just draws you in, and man, it's crazy. I'll holler at y'all, man. Peace.